Hey there, everybody. Welcome into this edition of ESPN FC's Extra Time. We've got your Twitter questions, and we have quite the trio of panelists awaiting us today. Ale Moreno, Frank Leboeuf, Steve Nicol. Gentlemen, great to be with you. Plenty of games that we talked about in today's show. One of them, Liverpool-Arsenal, teams that have met a few times in recent weeks. Frank asked this question: how do you prepare for a game mentally when you play the same opposition multiple times over the past weeks or months, such as Liverpool and Arsenal, who played today for the second time this week? Stevie, you're the manager in the lot. How do you prepare?
Generally it's very difficult because, unless you're a team that plays in 2 or 3 different ways, then you pretty much know what you're going to be up against. And generally, well, I say generally, in the old days when of course everybody played the first team in all the competitions, the second game usually became a little bit of a standoff. Everybody was kind of making sure they didn't make any mistakes because they knew exactly what was coming, and so it was usually a bit of a drab affair. But now it's a little different now. The fact is that there's only 2 players on Liverpool's team and 3 on Arsenal's that would play in a proper game, so that kind of changes that whole preparation. You basically got a bunch of mixture of young guys and guys trying to get in the first team who are excited and who actually prepare for it, the way they would a big game. So it's a little different these days.
Ale, I'm thinking back to some of your time in Major League Soccer when there were only 12 teams and you had to play everybody every other week. Did it ever get boring, ever get tough?
Are you saying that it got boring because I was on the field, Seb? Is that what you're suggesting?
Never would have implied that. No. You made it interesting, especially for Stevie Nicol.
Well, I can tell you that in other sports, it's commonplace. So you consider a baseball playoff series, or you consider a basketball playoff series, and how many times you play the same team over a short period of time. But in our sport, it's not nearly as common, and it is uncomfortable. And you want to see different faces, and you want to compete against different people. And when you're competing against the same team over and over again, not only do they know you and you know them, but now you're carrying things from the game before. And so maybe a tackle that you didn't care for, maybe something that a player said, maybe the outcome of the game wasn't in your favor. And so to Stevie's point, that second game then becomes about, we're going to get even from whatever happened in the first game rather than concentrating what we need to do in order to win this game. And to me, it was always really just uncomfortable just to be on the field with the same people time and time again, whether they were my teammates or not. It was just uncomfortable to play against the same people.
Guys, UEFA coming out today and announcing their Players of the Year. Does Kevin De Bruyne winning UEFA Midfielder of the Year mean that he's almost as good as Jordan Henderson, who won the Football Writers Footballer of the Year? This from Pearson. Stevie, this seems like the part of the show where I'll mention Jordan Henderson's stats and you'll yell at me.
What are these awards all about? Seriously. How did Joshua Kimmich get the Best Defender in Europe award? Seriously.
He's not even a defender.
He didn't even play as a defender. So these awards are complete nonsense. At the end of the day, they come down to personal choice, whether you like goals over defending, whether you like just your own personal choice. So it's a bad argument, is what it is.
Frank, you got any argument with with Kevin De Bruyne winning the UEFA Midfielder of the Year?
I don't have any argument about Kevin De Bruyne being one of the best players in the world, but again, individual awards, don't mean anything to me in a collective sport. So, comparing players who play in different positions is completely no sense. So Kevin De Bruyne is a great player. Henderson was a great player and still is a great player, but I don't want to, we can compare them because they play almost the same position, but it's stupid to give again individual awards in a collective sport.
Ale Moreno's diving school with a question for its namesake. Ale, why were so many people questioning if James had the nastiness or bite to play in the Premier League? Surely any South American who plays for his country has to have that. What do you think?
What was the name of the player?
Well, it's because he had not shown that when it was requested and required from Zinedine Zidane. When they wanted his bite and his nastiness and tactical discipline and defending and sacrifice for the team, he did not come up with that. He did not come up with the goods. There's no question that James Rodriguez is a talented player, and there's no question that what he has played with Colombia, regardless of his struggles at club level, that he has been very good. The talent is there. The mindset wasn't always there at Real Madrid, and so therefore that's why he ends up at Everton. And so far, so good at Everton. Whether it lasts or not, we'll see. It depends on the confidence level for James Rodriguez and how much Carlo Ancelotti is able to manage the player and the mentality of the player as the season goes on.
Frank, what a choice Andrew has given you for our next question. Virgil van Dijk or Vincent Kompany?
Ooh.
Ooh. Ooh. I will go for Virgil van Dijk because I'm a real fan of him, and every time I watch him, I feel that when he's really tuned in, the guy is unstoppable. When he lets go, you know, sometimes, you know, we can feel that he can be surprised. Vincent Kompany had a fantastic career, but I think technically he had some issues comparing to Van Dijk. I mean, he was a dog. He never let go. He was a captain. He had a character. I mean, he's a good friend of mine, and I'm really keen of what he did, and I really like the guy. But in terms of football, what I see and what I like in football, I like the elegance of Van Dijk and the performances of Van Dijk.
Of course, Frank goes for the elegance. What fan base do the guys think is the most cringeworthy? Great, let's make some enemies here. Even as an Arsenal fan, all of the Partey and Aouar spam tweeting has me ashamed to be a fan of the club. Ale, who for you are the most cringe-worthy fans? I know your mentions are always blown up.
Well, thanks for this question, sir.
What's a question?
What are we trying
Who decided
to do?
to put this in to ask us?
Why
Why don't you go get fired?
Behind the scenes from the people that make the decision in terms of what questions get asked.
We need villains. We need villains on this show. You know the role.
What was that? I'm sorry.
We need villains, Ale. We need villains on this show.
Well, I have good times, great times with Spurs fans over the years. Actually, they don't seem to enjoy anything that I have to say about Spurs, even when it's positive. But I've also had run-ins into Roma fans over the years as well, because
Roma president, the Roma
they
president,
cannot be criticized as a team, and in the end, honestly, fans get really touched about their team when you criticize whoever is playing for them at the time.
Stevie, any fan base that particularly gets under your skin?
Oh,
I know you particularly get under the skin of the United fans.
Yeah, I mean, there's definite history there. I can't think of anything good to say about them, to be honest, right now. all the interactions I've ever had in Manchester have been horrendous. So I'll tell you a good one. When we were the Revs with Chicago, there was a probably a family, 3 or 4 of them, who used to sit behind the bench and absolutely give me and Paul Mariner dog's abuse. And we were actually 3-1 down in the 90th minute one day, and we came back and drew 3-3. And the 2 of us, as soon as the whistle went, turned round to them and gave them it back. It was fantastic.
Right, did not see Chicago Fire getting a mention there, but you never know.
Well, that's good dancing by Stevie. Good dancing. Good dancing away from actually answering the question.
Sure. Just a few less Fire fans to get mad at him than, you know, Manchester United or Everton or anybody else he could have picked at. Still plenty of love for Chicago Fire. Ale, who are your favorites to qualify for the World Cup out of CONMEBOL?
Venezuela, 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 Venezuela.
Come on.
That's it.
Come on. This is it. This is the cycle. This is the cycle you're saying.
Well, it better be. I mean,
Hey,
honestly,
when was the last cycle?
It's going to be Brazil, Argentina, and then a mix of everybody else, and hopefully in that mix is going to be Venezuela. That's what I'm hopeful for. But it's tough. Qualifying in CONMEBOL is tough, and people don't realize it up until you actually participate in that competition. and no game in South America. And I know it's been said a few times, but no game in South America it's easy. Everything is a complication, including the travel and including the weather and including the arrangements for the teams and so on and so forth. Hey, Scotland, relax over there, all right? Relax, buddy.
I know it's not San Marino, it's not the Faroe Islands, Stevie. UEFA's real tough. Yeah, no,
Hey,
yeah.
you're just
You got to go to
rubbish.
Gibraltar, right?
You just need good.
Yeah.
When was the last time that generation thing you were talking about? When was the last time you got to the World Cup?
And that would be 0. That's why I'm hopeful that this is the time.
I thought that was it.
Hey, you just worry about advancing in Nations League, Stevie, all right? Go ahead.
That's right. Something glass houses, Scotland. Frank, Stevie, among all the non-ex-professional player crew at FC, who do you think would stink the most at taking a penalty kick? Dan, Seb, Gab, Julian, or Sid?
This is easy.
Frank, you go first. Who's the worst penalty kick taker of the non-pros?
I will go for Gab.
Why? Pray tell.
I don't know. I saw him, doing the podcast with shorts. I don't trust the legs. I don't trust the legs.
He's probably the most likely to stop one. Got the biggest frame out of any of the 5 there. Ale, who do you think?
Oh, it's Gab. It 100% Gab. If you ever seen Gab, well, first of all, he's a really big, tall guy, but he's got the big frame, right? And then the skinny legs. So it's a little bit of a sponge for SquarePants when it comes to his physique. I have to say, yes, I'm taking Gab. No question about it. 100%. No doubt about it.
Stevie, you want to defend Gab here at all?
No, I was trying to think who could rival him. I guess the closest I could possibly say would be Dan. I mean, I can't imagine Dan kicking a football. These wee spindly, skinny legs. They wouldn't have the strength to reach from 12 yards. But yeah, I'll go with Gab.
How about that? That's how we celebrate Dan Thomas on his 10-year anniversary of working here at ESPN. He tweeted that earlier. Incredible. They'll literally hire anyone and keep you around.
Hey, Seb, are you gonna make it a 10 years?
You should know.
No, guys, I am not. I am very, very much an underdog when it comes to that. We'll have to see. Have to see what the odds makers have there, Ale. Stevie, this is the big news of all week. Describe your hole-in-one shot and then what you did with the ball.
Hey.
147 yards, a 7-iron, right-hand side of the green, 2 bounces, a little roll to the left, and in the hole. And I've since lost the ball. I hit it out of bounds the other day.
What?
I didn't even think about keeping it.
Stevie, how long have you been
crossed
playing
my
golf?
mind.
And that's your first hole-in-one, right?
Oh, my goodness, aye. Yeah. I've been playing since I was about 8 or 9. So that's what, a good 50 year.
Ale, you
And
wrote.
smashed the ball
I'm
into
still
the
waiting
woods.
for. Hey, Stevie, I'm still waiting for my all-in-one. I did 3 twice on a par 5, but I never had a chance for hole-in-one.
Right.
Well, since we're all humble bragging
Yeah.
about our golf,
Yeah.
Ale, you want to get something in here?
Oh, none at all. I did not have a hole-in-one. No, just solid. Just keep it in front of me. There's nothing fantastic or spectacular about my game. Just solid.
You were a
And in the end, I add up the numbers and it comes up to a decent score.
You were a witness to Stevie's greatness. What did it look like from your perspective?
Well, so it felt like it was going in. The moment it took a couple of bounces, now we're all yelling, go in, go in, go in. The ball goes in. Frankly, my first reaction was the obvious one. You go and jump on Stevie. And Stevie's just kind of staring at it like, yeah, it went in, Stevie. So I'm hugging him. Social distancing was in question a little bit, but, this is a once-in-a-lifetime sort of thing. So I said, the heck with it. I went and hugged Stevie, and then the rest of the group came, and we celebrated, and we made some noise in the tee. That's all I can remember. But it was great to see, and it was great to celebrate with Stevie.
Ali was definitely the most excited out of the lot of us. It was me, Adrian, and Todd. And Ali was gone mental. I was like, right, what? Okay, brilliant. Good. And he's like, high-fiving and like smiling and cuddling me and everything. I was like,
See, I've never seen somebody so uncomfortable with a celebration and an embrace. And I was emotional about it. And this guy's almost like, can we just move on to the next hole? You know, I'm done with this.
It's just not me, Ali. It's just not me.
Sebi, we should test those people now. You know, a little PCR, will be accurate. You know.
Exactly.
Hey, I like it, Frank. Social responsibility. I'm all about that.
That's right. All right. Yesterday, we got to see that Dan's show notes were full of doodles. Really curious to see what's in Sebi's notes.
The 3 different pads.
Yeah, well, we do have many options. We do have many options for your notes, you know. We got a few pads, not just one. I don't limit myself to...
Oh, no, and there's a third. I know there's a third.
There's a third.
Yes, there it is.
Can anybody read the chicken
Is that the big
scratch?
yellow one?
No, you know what? I've gone
Is that
away
the big yellow one?
I found a bunch of white ones today, so the yellow ones are gone, Stevie. But we'll bring them back. Don't you worry. Don't you worry.
I do have a
Good
question. How come you moved away from? You had your pad. You've always had your pads, but you also had the laptop with you at all times. How come you moved away from the laptop?
No, there's a very direct and obvious answer to that, and that is the bullying of one Craig Burley. He called me Laptop Larry one too many times, and the laptop found its way into the black bag and hasn't come out since. What do you know?
See, you don't let the bullies win. You got to stand up to the bullies. That means you keep bringing it.
Right.
That's what you do.
That's like when Dan keeps wearing white ankle socks on the show every time Craig shows up. Wonder how that'll go. All right, boys, that's it for this edition of Extra Time. Thanks for joining us. We will be back for tomorrow's show. I'm in the hot seat again, and we will take your questions off Twitter.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.